Alright guys, today I'm going to show you how to change the fuel filter in the fuel pump on KFX450r. So you can get a replacement filter at Kawasaki. This is for a brute force, but it'll fit, just slightly bigger. Part number 49019-0013. It's about 13 bucks at the Kawasaki dealership, so not too bad. There's also a second smaller filter in there, but it's not replaceable. You just have to backflush it. Start things off, you're going to have to remove your front plastics to get your gas tank off of the four-wheeler. Alright, once you get all the plastics removed and the bolts right here from out of the gas tank, you're going to have to undo this line, and it may spill out a little bit of fuel, so put down a rag if you want. And then back in here is the plug. The electrical plug needs to come undone as well. And the way to get that one off is there will be a little clip on the other end. You just got to pull up, and then this will pull out. You don't push it in, you pull it up and away from this end, and this will pull right out. Once you do that, your gas tank should be free and should pop right out. Then you'll either want to empty your fuel into a container or somehow plug this up, because this will be vented. So replace this with something that'll keep it from leaking, because you're going to turn the gas tank upside down. Once you get your gas tank emptied or plugged so you can turn on the side, if you didn't empty it, you're going to be taking this off. There's going to be a big hole, so any fuel above that's going to come out. So it's probably best just to empty it. You're going to go ahead and take these bolts off here. They're 10mm bolts, and you're going to have yourself a clean work area, a towel or something. I know this towel doesn't look clean, but it's just stained. You don't want to get any grease or anything inside this. Once you get the bolts removed, it should just pull right out. It's also a good time to take an opportunity to check out your gas tank, make sure everything's clean in there. If it's really dirty, you might need to clean out your gas tank as well. I didn't mention it before, but it might be a good idea to take a Sharpie and just draw a line so you know which way it's supposed to rotate. If you don't do it, it's not that hard to figure out. The fuel stem, or the tube that comes out of the fuel for the fuel line, goes out to the left side of the quad. But this just makes it easier so you don't make a mistake and have to go back and redo something. We'll start by removing these screws on both sides. After you remove those screws, go ahead and pull these off. Should just pull straight up. Remember, the black goes on the left and the white goes on the right. Also note, when you remove this screw on the left side up here, that this was attached, so whenever we go to reinstall it, don't forget to put that back on. This top metal piece should just lift right off, and then you should be able to feed that wire out from that little plastic clip to remove it completely. Next step is this top plastic piece is split right here and right here. That pulls straight off. It's going to be a little difficult. It won't seem like it wants to go, but you got to give it a little bit of pressure, try not to break any plastic. Once you get it started, it should come off pretty smoothly. And this black wire can come out from this plastic clip. There are O-rings right here, and also on this one. This one's close. It was close to falling off, so make sure you don't drop it down in there and lose it. Don't forget to put it back on. Now this whole plastic piece will slide right up once you remove this O-ring here. Slide right off. Here you can see the difference, the used one and the new one. They look identical. This one is a little shriveled up because it was stuck in there pretty tight. When I spread it out, I think they're the same size. The new one might be slightly larger, but regardless, it'll work. The other side, I mean, they look identical to me. You can see the difference on how nasty this one looks. On this plastic piece, the fuel pump motor will slide out. The black wire goes towards the back from the way we disassembled it, and the blue wire goes towards the front. You don't have to take it out of this housing if you don't want to. I'm taking it out. There's a lot of filth in here on the before the filter, before the fuel reaches the filter. So I'm going to clean that out before we put the new one in. I just sprayed it out with some throttle body cleaner or some carburetor cleaner, and got all those cruds out. Don't need to wipe it down real good or anything unless you want to, but just any big particles need to come out. For reassembly, the rounded part facing you of the plastic, take your fuel pump motor with the blue wire towards you and the black wire away from you. Just slide it right down in place. Take a new fuel filter, and it should just pop right on the bottom. Might be a little bit tight if it's brittle. I have to fold it in a little bit, get it to fit. It doesn't have a pop or anything like that, it just sets on there. Before I install this back onto this plate, I'm going to go ahead and give this a little spray and wipe it down. It's got some crud on it too. Alright, again with the rounded side facing you, this has got to go, these metal posts have to go under the tracks and slide down. Also be careful because your fuel filter is going to get in the way of this metal tube, so use your thumb and hold it on there. Try to get everything to line up and slide it down into place. Now before we install this piece or go any further, there is a small filter inside of here that we cannot replace. You cannot access it. So we have to backwash it. So the way this works is it sucks up fuel through the fuel filter up this pump and shoots fuel through here and out here. So we're going to spray into this hole to try to flush any dirt back out of that filter out of this hole, just using carbon choke cleaner or throttle body cleaner. When you do this, make sure you don't look into this hole because it could spray back into your eyes. Doing this over a bucket or something so you don't get this all over your garage floor or out in the grass or anything. Just go ahead and stick your tube up in there and give her a good squirt. You really shouldn't see much dirt because that first filter, the fuel goes through the first filter before it reaches this one. And then once you back flush it for a little bit, you can flush it the other way also. And try to get as much of that out as you can. It's not going to hurt anything. Clean off any other particles on the outside. That's about the most you can do for that. Alright, so now I'm going to put this, the thicker, larger O-ring goes on this metal post, and this smaller one goes on this plastic post. And you're going to have to run these wires out here. Oh. First off, you gotta get it in there right, so I obviously did not. Alright. Once you got your O-rings on, this piece, the metal piece comes towards you, and get it on the track. Have your wires coming out this side. They got a little space for them right here, as you can see. And just pop this back down into place. Alright, forgot to mention earlier, when you're installing the filter on the bottom, make sure this black wire is running underneath of this clip right here. See how that wire, this wire right here is underneath of there? It's easier to run it underneath there before you put the filter on. You can get it on there while the filter's still on, but if you can do it before, it's easier. Might be easiest to install it on this part. Kind of got to just play with it a little bit until you can get it to seat properly. Try to get it down, make sure everything's tight. I do notice that there's more of a gap now than there was before. I played with this a little bit and I can't get it to go tight, so I'm not sure if that's normal or if I just didn't notice that before, if this was up some. Next, you'll take this piece and have the black rubber thing towards the back. This will slide down in this little slot. And also behind these, just like that. Make sure you clip it in. It clips in down there. We'll go ahead and install the screws. I made a mistake and forgot to attach the black wire to the left screw, so I gotta take that back out. Alright, these get fed down in here. And the white goes on the right, and the black goes on the left. Make sure they click down into place. Now you're all set. And you will install this back in. If you marked it, line your marks up. If not, this fuel line needs to run towards the left side of the tank. Install your screws or your bolts. I highly recommend cleaning off this Loctite and then reapplying new blue Loctite. You can make the threads perfect if you want. I just run brush through them real quick. Tends to get most of the old Loctite out before I apply the new Loctite. Apply a little bit of Loctite on each bolt and reinstall them. Once you go and get all these started, I would tighten them up in a star pattern just like you would a tire. Try to get this sealed down nice and tight. Once you get it back on, reinstall it on the wheeler. Make sure your gas line is under your frame. Before you do it. And plug it back in. Give it a little tug, make sure it stays on. And then your fuel line, you just push it into place and push that red part back on, give it a little tug, make sure it stays in line. Bolt it back up, put on your plastics. Once you've got all your plastics back on, don't forget to fill up your gas tank again. Once you're done with that,